After dawn on NTA2 in Lagos, we told you we want to talk about religious insurgency and the Boko Haram. It's a very interesting dialogue, but it's painful for many who have lost friends and family in different parts of Nigeria. We know that recently, when Secretary of State of America came to Nigeria, they were insisting on listing Nigeria as a terrorist nation. The FG fought, and thank God we have not got that listing. We hope we never get that listing. But to talk more this morning about insurgency and the Boko Haram, I have the president or the chairman of the Muslim Congress in Nigeria, in the person of Imam Lukman Abdulraheem. Welcome to After Dawn.
Thank you very much.
I know you are a Muslim.
I'm a Muslim, a committed Muslim.
Would you consider yourself a law-abiding Muslim?
Yes, I'm a law-abiding Muslim, and besides, I'm even a public servant, so I must live within the rules and regulation and the constitutional provision of Nigeria.
Fantastic. And you believe that every true Muslim must do the same?
Of course, it's a cardinal principle in Islam that you should obey God, obey His messenger, and constituted authority.
Okay, so when you deviate from that rule and regulation and you go out of your way to make authority that has been constituted to rule over you uncomfortable, and you put your country in a negative light, what then can we describe you as?
That is a rebel, because it's clearly stated in the glorious Quran that if you disobey God, the prophet, and those in authority, you have clearly sinned against God. Because He gave authority to the leaders in order for them to engender good governance, welfareism, and peace.
So when you sin against God, what are the repercussions?
Of course, on
are
this
there
service
repercussions?
there are repercussions. On this service of their disgrace, and on the day of judgment, the person will enter hellfire.
Great.
So these are some of the implications.
Now we're communicating, but we have rebels with a cause, and we've also heard of rebels without a cause. Now let's step very confidently into the meaty matter, which is Boko Haram.
Yes.
Many of them lay claim to the Muslim faith. They say they are
Islamic sect.
Yes, they say they are pure Muslims. That's from where they came, and that's what they still claim to be now. But from what you have said now, and being at the top echelon of the Muslim Congress, you have said that it doesn't work like that.
It does not.
You can't practice a faith and not follow its principles.
Exactly.
So what do we describe the Boko Haram people as?
Yes, officially we have issued several press releases, and we have held conferences with other religious groups. And consistently we said the antics, the methods, the strategies of Boko Haram are antithetical to the principle of Islam, which preaches peace, tolerance, and respect for rules and regulation. So the way they go about fighting their cause, which we don't even know, because it's conflicting and
you don't know what their cause is at this time.
At times you read in newspaper they are fighting for Islamic State, at times for welfareism, at times they say they are unemployed youth, they want to be empowered. So all these,
but it just seemed to be as though they are now different bodies,
exactly,
all claiming one umbrella.
That is to tell you that it's not even a religious
things
cause.
Have disintegrated.
Yes, some charlatans, area boys
have catched in on
those
that.
Who have been used by politicians and dumped. There are people who come together to form a questionable organization. It's not even registered with government. My organization is registered. Ditto for other lawful, responsible organizations.
But can a terrorist organization be registered in government?
That is why they said initially they were Islamic organization preaching the principle of peace and Islamic ideology, but later they became terrorist group. In a lawful society, the first thing is to register with CAC. Government must know you. A faithless organization cannot fight a just cause. So that is why we said they are not Muslim organization. Supreme Council of Islamic Affairs, which is the apex body in Islam, does not know them. They don't know their leadership. They don't know their.
But we see their handiwork. We see their handiwork. People are dying. So what is the way forward? How do we handle this now? We thought we'd get help and support from true Muslims. We thought you'd be able to identify them, have meetings with them, if possible, negotiate. We heard that the federal government even said, let's negotiate, bring your matter to the table for us to see, let us dialogue together. And they said no. But would they be willing to dialogue with people of your ilk?
That is what we are saying. We don't even know them. We know all.
But for
Islamic
example,
groups.
They approach you and say, Imam, we want to talk. What will your advice to them be? How do we go about? Because everybody wants peace.
Of course, even before they approach us, we know they are faithless group. On our pulpits, in mosques every Friday, we always tell Muslims, including the Boko Haram, wherever they are, that what they are doing is not Islamic methodology.
Do you fear for your life?
Is a Muslim should stand for truth. I have written more than 12 press releases condemning Boko Haram, so I'm not apologetic and I cannot withdraw my statements on their methods and
no
antics.
matter what the repercussions or consequences
God gives
may
lives
be.
and takes away life. So for somebody who stands on justice and truth, the issue of fearing your life is not an issue.
But we
God
have a small
preserve-
problem. In the past, we have caught the likes of Kabiri Sokoto
Yes.
and a particular AIG
Yes.
was indicted.
Exactly.
Zachary Bill, and then since then there's been no word about it. What is your own Congress doing? Are you not finding out what Zachary was doing there? Who Kabiri Sokoto is? What their aim was?
it
Who
is-
members of the nation are? And what has happened to them since then?
It is not the responsibility of an Islamic organization alone, but the responsibility of Muslim organization, civil society, and media to follow up on the issues. Some people have been arrested. Have they been prosecuted?
You are throwing back my question at me. I'm
Yes.
asking you, for example, leave the media out. You are the one who is here now, and you are standing in the gap for the Muslim society as a top echelon of the member of the Congress.
Yes.
What have you done? Leave media.
with
Let's assume
government-
media is slacking.
with government-
civil activists are slacking.
Exactly.
What have you done? What has your body done?
Yes,
Those
as-
men were publicly disgraced and named. Have they been tried? Where are they now? Who
We have
set them up?
Person for the Muslim organization, and that is Sultan of Sokoto. He represents National Supreme Council of Islamic Affairs. If there exists to speak or dialogue with government, that is the body to call, or NIREC.
Now you are shipping this responsibility to another. As a Nigerian, first
Yes,
of all,
yes.
you have a responsibility for your life, life of your family,
Exactly.
life of all Muslims,
Yes.
life of all Nigerians.
Yes.
If there's anything you can do to protect collectively and individually the lives of those people, you have to do it.
We have been
so
doing that.
your Congress, since you know
Okay.
that they call themselves Muslims, since you know the law-abiding officer who is also a Muslim was indicted and was sacked
Yes.
by the police force, your Congress could have recommended to the Sultan. Did you at any time?
In our press
Did
release,
you wonder what happened to those men?
we have
till I asked you
done
now.
that in our press release. Not only religious issues.
Okay.
Your own is to say it. It is the responsibility of the government and security agency to follow up on your recommendation. We said
you have
even in
recommended?
we have recommended. We say even in the mosques, people should be vigilant because bombs does not respect imam nor pastors.
I
When
call
you
two
see-
names in particular.
Yes.
I'm not talking now about the terrorists and the bombers, suicide
Yes.
bombers
Yes.
or any kind of bomber.
Yes.
Now they carry guns, they carry knives, they bomb places. They are
exactly.
doing everything. They are real terrorists. I'm talking about two men were caught in this
Yes.
country. They are Nigerians.
Yes.
They say they were Muslims. A government worker, a policeman
Yes.
who's meant to enforce the law, who has had a negative antecedent as a law-abiding officer, was caught, was indicted, was sacked.
It is the responsibility of the police.
When
force.
you heard, what did you do?
Of course, we are also anticipating that justice must be done.
So we
to
all
serve as
sit down
deterrent
and anticipate?
to others. Yes, it is the responsibility of governments and the security apparatus to prosecute criminals.
We are talking with Imam Lukman Abdulraheem. We're talking about religious insurgency and Boko Haram. When did it start? How did it start? Who are those behind these faceless terrorist organizations? We'll take a break now, and after dawn, we'll be back in just a moment. Please stay with us.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Oh. Hey, Ajuda Bile. No matter where you go, make you not forget area. Oh, area. Oh, na Naija. Tí òde bá ti lè padà wálé o, wálé o. How I wish, say, I fit reach you anywhere you dey.
After dawn on NTA2 in Lagos, before the break, I was talking with Imam Lukman Abdulraheem. He's the president of the Muslim Congress in Nigeria or in Lagos?
In Nigeria.
In Nigeria. Good. You are representing a very big and international body. You're welcome to After Dawn again. We're talking about insurgency and Boko Haram. You
in
said they're a
Nigeria.
faceless organization. Do you still believe that with the amount of people that have died so far? We hear over 6,000 people have died since 2010 and now because of the Boko Haram and their insurgency.
Yes, you call an organization a faceless organization if it's not registered and the members are not willing to come out and tell you their identity. They use fictitious name, and if you read media reports, so many times they will say they kill one, the person will appear again on the internet. That is to tell you that it's a faceless organization. My organization has an headquarter, it has president, it has executive, it has certificate issued by federal government, and so when there is anything, they will arrest me or the officials. That is how it is done in a democratic society. Even in Saudi Arabia, organization must be registered, whether Islamic or non-Islamic organization.
Even though the world is not saying that those at the helm of Islamic affairs have been negligent, but initially people were holding you culpable because they call themselves Muslims. And that's how we won't say evolved now, it's negative. That's how they have
Yes.
devolved into this horrible, horrible thing that we see in Nigeria now. People are dying on a daily basis.
Yes.
And they don't just hit one. They came with bombs initially, now there's knife, now there's gun, and they're attacking from every nook and cranny. Just as a Nigerian, as a patriotic citizen, a member of a registered organization that has a face, what do you suggest is the way forward?
Well, the way forward is not a one-way traffic. The religious community that I represent, one, we are doing what we call value reorientation, that people should not just be comfortable with somebody quoting Quran. You should be able to get Quran and read on your own. Indoctrination is poisonous. Most of those who are being used as recruits in the northern part of the country, they are the unemployed, the almajiris, and so on and so forth. Many of them don't know the content of Al-Quran. They will just be told, if you do this, you make heavens. Take this bomb and go and do this. And we have even read in magazine that they paid them 7,500 to go and carry out some of these heinous.
But we heard it was
suicide.
5 million. It was once
Well,
1.5,
whether
3
5
million, now
million,
5.
whether 7 million, as far as our religion is concerned, you don't do such things.
No
Life
matter
is
what
sacred,
you are
no matter
offered.
what you are offered.
So when you take a life, what happens? Can you be a Muslim or a religious person and take a life?
It's very clear in the Quran that when you take one life before God, it's as if you have taken the life of humanity. You see, taking a people's life right from the time of Abel and Cain, God has made it a serious punishment. That once you kill one person, it's as if you have killed the entire human. And when you save a soul, it's as if you have saved the soul of humanity. So human soul is sacrosanct in Islam. Let me give you an example. There was a day the prophet of Islam, Muhammad, was praying, and they carried a corpse of somebody, and he stood up in the midst of his companions after the prayer. They now said the man is a Jew. Say, and so what? That is a soul that has left the body, and the body has gone back. I mean, the soul has gone back to God. We must give honor to that particular soul. It shows that it's been sent not only to Muslims, to also give other people who have other faith regard and respect.
We
so
must.
This is to tell you the
We
importance
must.
that Islam attaches to.
But you were telling us
human
about
life.
the manageability of where we find ourselves now.
Yes.
That people must read the Quran and know for themselves what it contains.
Yes, it's not enough to say God says this, or people give their own interpretation. In fact, in the modern time, some people want to claim they know more than God and his prophet. In the glorious Quran, let me give you an example. God says in Quran chapter 5 verse 82 that the closest to you among all faithful people in the world are the Christians. Why? He said because you have
It's
among
right
them.
there in the
It's
Quran.
right there. He said you have among the Christian learned scholars. Secondly, you have among them those who have renounced the world, that is the ascetics, and also they are not proud of all religion. But today, Muslims and Christians, they are living like cat and mouse. I mean, it's not decent. As far as I'm concerned, you must give Christians their own regard, and Christians must give your own regard. Similarly,
There must be
for people of other
respect
faith.
for different
Yes,
religions.
even for idol worshipper, God says, for they, their religion, and for you, your religion. He didn't say you must take cutlass to go and kill them.
But
or
they
you
are
must
doing
bomb
it
them.
now. They are doing it now.
Yes.
How did we get to that point, for
Yes.
example? How did we even come to this point?
We got to this point because of politics and ethnic agenda. You see, in the northern part of the country, when you want to pursue political move or ethnic agenda, you may not be able to recruit people until you give it religious coloration.
Okay.
If you see a typical Hausa man, very humble and loving, just go to the village. But the political class, when they want to achieve their political agenda, they will whip sentiment of these people using religious coloration. And that's what has been done in the case of the Boko Haram. They have used religious scholars to indoctrinate them. They have paid them heavily. And what you are seeing now is the outcome of such an
But
exercise.
many have suggested also that they have affiliations outside of Nigeria in terms of weaponry and ammunition. Because one thing for a politician to give his own selfish gains and issues a religious coloration, in this case Islam. But even if he gives that, who equips them with
You
weapons?
see, the issue of equipment is very simple. In
Did the
international
politicians
relation-
tell them to go and kill?
You see, that is why I said the agenda is very, very big. Look at what is happening in Jos. It's an ethnic issue, but they gave it religious coloration, indigene and settler. So the issue of weapon is very, very easy. I read a bit about international relation, where you have peace in different parts of the world. The implication is that those who sell arms, they are starving. So they create insecurity, violence in order to smile to bank. And so if politicians dole out money, it's very easy. There are arms dealers, even within Nigeria, they will supply you some of these things. So the issue of having link with outsider is one issue. The issue of procuring arms is another issue. You can get arms. And that is why the military must be alert.
If one is to analyze now,
Yes.
so we can safely say that there are big people or big names
They are-
behind Boko Haram.
Exactly. We have custom officers and immigration.
Who are supporting them.
Exactly. You are seeing people carrying tons of ammunition to the country. They didn't disappear. They passed through the border, or they were flowing into the country by jet.
So
Who is
many
there to-
people are collaborating
Exactly.
with them
That's
in
why it's a
different armed
syndicate.
forces.
In different armed forces. And that is why we submit that insecurity is a fat business in Nigeria now and globally. Some people smile to ban because of insecurity and violence.
For example,
while many of us we carry our
just
debts to grave.
miraculously, it's
Yes.
our hope. We don't know how soon we can bring this violence to the barest minimum or completely eradicate it.
Yes.
But just for example, some people are caught. People who have caused insurgency, who have caused death, who have taken the lives of millions and thousands of
Yes.
Nigeria and caused grief and disharmony and
Exactly.
disunity in homes and communities. What would you suggest be the consequence for the action if they are caught and they are taken to court and they ask Nigerians, what ought we to do? But for example, you're representing the Muslim community.
Yes.
What would you say the repercussions should be? What should be the consequence be?
In Islamic jurisprudence, when you are caught in terrorist act, the minimum sentence is death. But in a civil society or democratic society, we have so many rules. When you are found guilty, the law should be implemented to the letter. We are told that they arrested about 8 persons who bombed INEC office or United Nations headquarters. I don't know which one. But the question is, have they been prosecuted? Have accomplices been arrested? Even if you don't get accomplices, those who have been arrested, have they been charged to court and sentenced? These are questions begging for answer.
But
So
what would the likely sentence be if you were asked?
I'm not a judge.
If you were a judge?
Well, it depends on the fact, because in jurisprudence, you look at the case on its own merits. You understand?
Many are
If you have
calling for a
evidence-
life for a life.
Of course.
They are saying an eye for an eye.
The Mutalab case, they gave him life sentence. So whatever the
And
law
Mutalab
says,
didn't even blow up something.
exactly,
He was in the process
the
of.
law should be enforced so that it will serve as deterrent
But
to
I
others.
think we've eradicated the death penalty in Nigeria, and recently, National Assembly passed a law that terrorists should be given life imprisonment if they are tried. and
Whether
due
it's life
process-
imprisonment, whether it's dead, the most important is that the law should be enforced.
So you think
see,
life
law
imprisonment is sufficient?
if that is what our law says, but in Islamic jurisprudence, we call terrorism al-iraba. Once you are caught, death sentence or something grievous like death, that is what they will do for such people, so that those who are coming behind, they will learn. Look at China. Somebody told me if somebody is caught carrying cocaine or some other criminal act, the person will be shot, and even the bullet will be procured by his family, because government does not want to waste his money on bullets. If such a sentence is pronounced on a family, for life they will bear that particular stigma, and it will serve as deterrent to others. So
To
in Nigeria,
others.
we shouldn't play with issue of justice.
We also
Human
see
life is
violence
sacred.
spiraling around Nigeria. I don't know if you heard the case of the Alu 4. students, University of Port Harcourt, were lynched.
Yes.
They were beaten to death, and somebody set them up. They were, in the end, they were burnt with tires. In Delta State, a man stole a necklace.
Yes.
He was lynched. He was burnt to death.
Even the
A girl stole in
NURTW.
Lagos recently. She
Yes.
was stripped naked. She was beaten. Was almost at the point
Exactly.
of death. Four people came to save her. Do you think that the violence is becoming contagious? People now patient. Many youths or many people are now volatile and impatient.
That is the problem we're having in Nigeria. Violence is not only in northern part of the country. Before now, we are talking about militants. NURTW, they don't hold election. The winner is the person who can terrorize the most. Just read charlatans, area urchins, go to the garage and you disarm.
So
old
the
regime.
increased violence in different
Exact-
parts is not as a result of the insurgency and
It is
the
not.
insecurity that
It
Boko
is
Haram
not.
has brought to
It
bear
is
in
not.
Nigeria.
Frustration, unemployment, and changing values. We are beginning to lose our values. A Yoruba man, an Hausa man, an Igbo man, they value human life. But in the modern, maybe because of militarism and so on and so forth, or
Would you
maybe
say movies
globalization.
and the internet has
Yes, it's
influenced
part
them
of it.
as well?
Globalization, the movies we watch, people don't have respect for human life. They just take gun and shoot. They will say, I waste him. I erase him.
We
Some of
even
this-
hear of husband killing wife, wife
Yes,
killing husband.
with acid and poison and so on and so forth. So all these are eroding our African values and religious values.
How do we instill them again in
Of
those who are
course,
coming
the
behind us?
pastors, the imam should go back to their main
The
constituency.
drawing board.
Yes, the schools too, the moral instructions, civics, and so on and so forth. They are very, very important. And the media too. We have so much entertainment and musicals. More
We should have more serious talks.
Yes, issue of patriotism, love for fellow human being, humanity, and so on and so forth.
We do
Yes,
that.
civil society too should do their own. Go to various community and tell people peaceful coexistence and so on and so forth. These are the important responsibility we must all share.
But you think those who want to hear are not already listening? Those who want to hear already know what is right. They are listening. I think I'm of the opinion, or some have proposed that there's an inimical problem that is
Yes.
existing now.
Yes.
Those who are coming behind, who want to know,
Yes.
already know what is right. There's an existing problem now. Something caused all these things to spiral out of control,
Yes.
and we need to address what causes insecurity. What do you, aside from politicians being able to give them money and influence them to religious order,
Yes.
what do you think was at the core? What made them so vulnerable to being influenced?
Two issues: poverty and ignorance.
So we must address those
We
things.
must address it. Poverty is very, very. When you are poor, people will use it for
To their
questioning
advantage.
their exact agenda. And when you are ignorant, you are going to be manipulated. No matter what you give an educated Islamic scholar to go and carry out some of these suicide bombs, he will ask you questions.
In
Is
whose
it
best
justified?
interest?
Yes, in whose best interest. And according to what I've read, life is sacrosanct. I can't do it. But for somebody who is poor and uneducated, they will just tell him, we're going to give you 5,000 naira and you make heavens. He will go and do that. So these are issues that
Because
must
he will
be
win
addressed.
here on earth and he will win in heaven.
Yes.
He'll get money to feed his family, and then he will go to heaven and be waiting for them. They'll join him there.
In fact, there was a day prophet was praying. He said, "Oh Allah, I seek refuge from poverty and disbelief." Scholars now they now analyze that issue. They say, well, the correlation between disbelief and poverty. Say when you are poor, you go into disbelief and you can't do anything because you are poor. So that is why issue of poverty must be addressed.
It's our hope
Nigeria. It's
and
very,
our
very
prayer
important.
that government at different levels have listened to you
Yes,
this
local
morning, that they have
government,
heard,
state and
because
national.
peace must come and reign in Nigeria.
It's non-negotiable.
We must
It's
return back to
non-negotiable.
what Nigeria
Used to
was,
be,
because the way it
exactly.
is now, it's insecure for everyone.
Yes.
No one knows what can happen tomorrow.
Even foreigners, they are scared of coming
To invest.
Investment
And we
is,
need their
slow in
investment.
coming to Nigeria, and we need investment to provide jobs for our teeming youth. So it's very, very important. And even Saudi Arabia, you can see the insult they are giving us, because here at home we
Our
lack
country
decorum.
has lost
we have
credibility.
Yes, we cannot
Thank
even plan.
you. Thank you so very much, Imam Lukman Abdulraheem. It has been an honor and a very illuminating experience chatting with you this morning after dawn. We have learned
you
so
very
much.
much.
And it's our hope that those who can enforce law and make jurisdiction, okay, and work in areas, enter nooks and crannies where we can't reach.
Exactly.
We have the power of the tongue,
Exactly.
and we have
Only
used
talk.
it to the best of our ability. We hope those who have the power of the law Okay, we have power of arms, the armed forces, and the government has listened and will do what is in everybody's best interest at the end of the day. Thank you very much for coming on After Dawn.